If you'd like to learn how to make explosions and have bricks fall down around and on your players in your game, keep watching and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Welcome to Roblox Snippets. Alright, in the example at the beginning of the video I showed you a tunnel with bricks falling from its roof, etc. However, what we're going to do here is just create the mechanics or the parts that go into the model, and then you can pick your own model to insert them into, and I'll show you how to do that. So initially we need to just create a couple of items. So the first one will be, if we come up to the Home tab and click on Part, we'll add it in and we're going to call this our base part. Alright, so now make sure it's a lowercase b here, base part, because base part in code also has a it's a keyword, so, or you could just call it base if you like. Alright, we may even do that just to be on the safe side. Alright, we'll just call it base. Okay, so in its properties, don't have to do too much because we're going to probably make this invisible, but if you want to come down and click on anchored for the base, that's about all we need to do. We're going to make this invisible because it'll go inside of a model towards the end. But we will come up to model and scale the part just so it's a bit bigger. And this could be like a floor inside a house or inside the tunnel on the road or whatever it is. So this is going to be our trigger part that will make the code run. Now, the explosion, depending on where you want it to happen, in my example I had it in the roof or up the top of the tunnel. So we can just right click on our base part and duplicate it, and we'll change the name of it just to top. Alright, so we know where it goes. And then just move that part up reasonable amount up above the other part so it looks a bit like that. Alright, so we've got a base that's going to trigger the script and a roof where we're going to put the bricks. Alright, so we'll create the bricks over here as well, so just move over here and click on part once again. Probably how it is, it looks a bit like a brick, and you could change its color to be a bit more brick-like and come up the top and we've got a brick. Now, what we want to do with that, we might change its name as well to brick, is come down and set its anchored to be true because we want it to stay where it is initially. And depending on whether you want it to hit players or not, then you can turn on or off can collide. So can collide off, obviously it's just going to fall through the players. So that's up to you. Now, we're going to make a number of these bricks that will fall from this part in our top up here. So clicking on the brick here, we'll just right click and duplicate, and if you move over say 10 studs, that should be pretty good. You could probably do it again, and we'll move over there, and then if we select all the bricks, so if you use command or control and click on each of the bricks in the workspace like this, we'll group them together as a model. So right click on them when they're highlighted and you'll get this model here. So come up and we'll call this all bricks model, so we know where all of our bricks are. And let's make some more. So if you click on the first brick in your model and then hold down shift and click on the last one, you'll select all of the bricks and right click and duplicate those, and then just slide it forward and do that again. So we'll right click and duplicate and move forward like this. So we've got these 9 bricks. Now we can click on the model and move the entire thing. So, and we may want to turn this off and move it over so that it is more or less in line with our top. So let's click on top and F to focus in. So we're looking down and pull back the camera. And we might make our top bigger so that it covers the entire area of our bricks. So let's just stretch it over like this. And we can probably make our base sort of similar sort of size if you like. Remember that you are probably going to make these transparent and resize them and everything anyway and position the bricks, but just for the sake of neatness. Alright, let's look at our bricks again. And we'll come down and see where they're sitting. And well, they're sitting just underneath the roof. If you want, you could just move them up. So they're just touching the top underneath, like so. Now, currently having all those bricks sitting there and you can see them all is a bit weird. So let's click on all of our bricks again. So click on the first brick and shift and click on the last one. Then come down into the properties and let's change their transparency to be 1 initially. So now they're invisible when we run on here. And just looking at this, it's all just a bit cramped up. So come up here, let's move our spawn location back a little bit, and let's move our bricks and our top together, and we'll make them a bit higher. Alright. So there are our bricks ready to go. Now we're going to have an explosion that will happen up here in the top, and a sound effect. So we need to create 2 items in order to make it look like an explosion and sound like an explosion. So to do that, come up to Workspace and left click on that, and then up to Home tab and click on Toolbox. Now Toolbox over here, I'll just expand this over so you can see it a bit better and read it. In the Creator Store, we want to come to the drop downs and choose Models. Sorry, we don't need that just yet. We'll go to Audio. And in here, just type in Explosion. And I'm going to use the first one that comes up, which sounds pretty explodey. So with Workspace highlighted, I'll insert it there so it's just sitting in our workspace. And that's what we need out of the toolbox at the moment, so you can go ahead and close that. Now, the explosion itself that we would see, if we come up to Workspace and click on plus, start typing explosion, and you'll see this item. So left click on it, and you should see something on your screen like an explosion. Now you can change all of its properties and things later. We'll just leave it as it is, but we are going to spawn this explosion on the top part up here rather than putting it inside of the model itself. So to do that, we'll right click on the explosion and cut it, and then come down to Server Storage, right click and paste into, and this will be a master copy of an explosion that you may have set up so that you can make explode. Now keep in mind that explosion could be in the base or wherever you wanted it to be, so we'll deal with that in the code. So now I think we have everything we need to start writing our code for this. We'll come up to the base part, which is going to trigger when the player runs onto it. So when you've clicked on the base part, click on plus and add a script, and we'll change the name of this to be Falling Brick Script, and we'll get rid of Hello World, and we'll zoom in nice and close so we can see what's going on, and we're ready to get started. Alright, so now that we have everything ready to go, dive into our Falling Brick script, and we will firstly create a variable to represent the base that's going to be touched. So local base will equal script.parent. Now, because we're using a touched event, when a player runs onto it, that touched event can get triggered really quickly as soon as they touch it, like over and over. For that reason, we'll create a debounce value, so db, and set it to true up here, and use that to control our script. We can then write our touched event, so base.touched is the event, and when that event is triggered, we'll connect a function and pass in a parameter of hit, which is the part of the character that touches the base, so it could be their foot or their hand, etc. Inside of our touched event, now we want to determine that a player is actually touching, or a character is actually touching the base, and it's not something else like an NPC or a bird or something. Alright, so we'll create a variable here called player, so PLR for short, and we'll get that by saying game.players get player from character hit.parent. Alright, so like I said, if the character's foot hits the base, then its parent will be the character, which is this part. Then we use the character to find which player that is connected to, and we put it back here, and it won't work unless I put an equal sign there. Alright, so local player equals this line. Now that we have that, we can create a conditional statement. So we can say if db, which is our debounce, is true, and we have a player, then we can run the code that is inside of here. And to prevent it running over and over again, we immediately set db equal to false. And towards the end of the script, if you want to use it again, you could put in a task.wait of, say, a second and set db equal to true. Now in this particular script, this is not really necessary because we're only going to run it once, but there are options for you to reset the bricks and then run this again. So we'll leave this part in at the moment. So now we know we've got a player and they have run onto this base part. The next thing we want to do is we want to play this explosion sound, all right, for them to trigger it. So we'll need to create a variable up the top here, and we'll call this, well, we'll just call it explosion, fx. So I like to put fx on the end of sound so that they're different from the actual explosion we're going to make that we put in server storage. So explosion fx equals workspace dot explosion. All right, so that gets a hold of this for us to make use of. And then to play the explosion, we can say explosion fx and with a colon and put play, and that will play that sound effect for us. Now to go with this, we want to have this explosion visual happen down here. So once again, up at the very top, we'll get a service, the server storage service. So local ss equals game get service and inverted commas server storage. And inside of server storage, once we have it, we'd like to get a copy of our explosion here. So local, and we might call this bomb, and will be equal to server storage, and then wait for child, and the name of the thing we're looking for, so explosion here. So that will get us a master copy of our bomb. So you could even call this up here master bomb if you like, master bomb or explosion, or whatever you want to call it. And then we can get a copy of that down here. So right underneath where we're making our sound play, we'll create a new, bomb, which will be equal to master bomb up the top, and a colon and clone, and that will give us a copy of that to work with. Now we can change its properties by saying new, I misspelt bomb there. There we go. New bomb. And we want to set its position. Alright, so position will equal to, now we want the explosion to happen in the top part. So if we have a look in here and we have this top, this is where we're going to put it. We're going to position it in the middle of this top part. So we simply say top dot position. Except we don't have a variable for top. So once again, come up the top here and we'll say top, local top equals script dot, actually it's in the workspace, isn't it, at the moment? So workspace dot top. Right, so we get access to this. And once we've got its position, now we'll parent. We'll parent that explosion to the same part, so new bomb.parent will equal top. Alright, now once you will hear the explosion happen, and then you will see this happen, alright, by creating this explosion up there when it actually gets parented. Next, we want to make all of the bricks over here, which is in the workspace, all fall down randomly. So we'll do that using a repeat loop. So repeat, and then when you hit enter, it will say until. Now we'll use the condition of how many bricks are left in here to fall. When it gets to 0, then we'll end this loop. But we need to get this model first. So back up the top again, let's create a local variable for all bricks, which will be workspace dot brick, well, what do we call it? All bricks, sorry, workspace dot all bricks model, and then a colon and get children, and that will give us a table of all of these parts to work with. And as I said, back down the code here, we can count how many are inside of that table by using hashtag and all bricks, and that will count how many items are in the table. So now we need to reduce them, or we'll make it less than or equal to 0, and that is when this loop will stop running. So inside of this now, we will now create a random brick, or pick one out of the table for us to drop. So local rand brick will be equal to math.random from 1 until, once again, hashtag all bricks. So this will give us an index number over here of however many are left in the table after we reduce it. And now the bricks at the moment are anchored, so we need to unanchor them, and you also can't see them. So we need to change both of those properties. And the way we do that is to look in the table and add a set of square brackets, and then using rand brick, which is our index number, change both of those properties. So transparency, and we'll set that to 0, and then all bricks, rand brick, and dot anchored equals false, and that will cause them to fall down. Now if you'd like to clean up all of these, then you can use the debris service. Now before we do that though, we'll actually finish our loop, because at the moment it's not reducing the numbers inside of the table just at the moment. Just because they've fallen down doesn't mean they're still in the table. So we can say table dot remove, and we want to, it gives you 2 bits of it, which table and what position. So we want the all bricks table, and we want to remove the random brick, or the index, the brick at that index, and that will continually reduce the number of bricks inside of here. Now to clean up the bricks that fall on the ground, we'll use the debris service. So if you come up to the very top and create another variable ds, and it will be game and get service and debris. Alright, so no service at the end, just debris. And this service actually cleans up things that you don't need, and it's very easy to use. Once you have it in your script, you can come down the bottom here, and just after this line, type ds and then a colon and add item. And if you look at the helper text, it says, well, what item do you want to add, and for how long do you want it to stay alive before I destroy it? That's what this means. So if we say add item, we can add in the all bricks random brick, so that's the current one, and add a comma, and let's say after 5 seconds we'll destroy it. Alright, so that is everything that you need in here to get this working, I believe. So when you've got that, come up and click on File and Save, and open up your output window down the bottom so we can see if we get any errors, and let's play. Alright, I'm all loaded in, got our base. Now if I run over here, bang, we got this happening. However, they all dropped at the same time. So let's have a quick look and see why that is. Alright, in our repeat loop, it's run very, very, very quickly, and we didn't have any time between each brick. So we'll come up the top and create another variable here called wait time, and let's set it to say 0.2. Down the bottom then, at the top of our repeat loop, add a task.wait of wait time, and let's run it again and see if that improves things. Alright, running on again, and as you can see they're now falling randomly, and then after 5 seconds you'll see that the debris system cleans them all up for you, or should. And there's the problem. There is a problem there that I talked about earlier, in that we just, because we reset our debounce down the bottom and we didn't have any bricks, it's caused this error. So let's change that script, and simply you can comment this out, and the wait one there too. We don't need those, so that it just runs just the once. So let's try that again. Okay, let's try one more time. Explosion, bricks falling, and you should see now that the bricks all disappear, and as I run around, nothing else happens. Now the debris system hasn't cleaned up everything on this part, so let's just have another quick look. Now it could be because the order that these two lines are in here. Alright, so let's change this. We'll cut that line and we'll put it after this one. Now I'm leaving this in the video because these are little problems that pop up when you're coding, and after a while you'll get to know how to fix them, but this was removing this out of this table before we actually ran this, alright, when it was the other way around. So let's give it another go. Alright, last time, let's see. We've got bricks falling, all good, and now we can run around, and after 5 seconds all of the bricks clean themselves up. So we've got a couple of little problems there which we cleaned up, but now we've got the basics of this system that you can import into models. So let's just have a look over here. We've got the all bricks model, we have the base, and we have the top. Now if you want to put them into a model of your own, come up and we'll firstly select all these items. So click on the all bricks model and then hold down Command or Control to select all of the parts that we've been working with. And we'll right click and we're going to group those together as a model. And we can call this Explode Bricks Model. Right, and so we've got a model now that we can move around and resize. So if you'd like to come up to the top, and we'll come over to Toolbox, and when you open up Toolbox, let's now come over to the drop down, choose Models, and in here you can choose anything you like a tunnel or a house, but I'll say a tunnel. So something with a roof and a floor, I guess, is the best sort of thing for this to go with. And just pick any one that you like, preferably one with a floor. So I'll just go with the first one here. And when you click on it, you should see that it's inserted. And we'll just reposition this so that it's not on top of everything. Alright, so now we have our Explode model, or system, you could call it, that we want to move into here and have it work, but triggered off these parts. Now there's a couple of ways to do it, but the easiest way, without touching any parts in here, is to drag this entire Explode Bricks model inside of this model for a start. So now we're just working with one. And now that we're inside, open up your bricks, all your bricks, your Explode Bricks model in here, and we'll take the top, alright, and the all bricks model, so that they are together like this, and let's group those together. And we might call this roof model, and we can leave the base how it is. So now we can move these two parts together. If I zoom in there, let's move them now inside and position them inside of our tunnel. So just up near the top there is good, because what we're going to do is inside of here now is this top part, we don't want to see it, so we'll set its transparency to 1, and that's all we need to do just at the moment there. And now with our base, if you left click on that and hit F, now we want to move that over, and we can bring it up a little bit. And depending on when you want it to trigger, you can make it the whole size of this, or perhaps when they get closer to the center, but you can simply scale it to match up with the model that's already existing like this. And we also don't want to see this part down the bottom, so we can set its transparency to 1, and we don't want to really collide with it either, so that won't interfere with the touch. But if you just leave it above, you'll sort of be running above the ground, so we'll turn off Can Collide on there as well. So now if we have a look at our entire tunnel road, you'll see we've got what appears to be one big model that we're working with, alright, with our Explode added in. We do, however, have a bit of an issue with our script now, in that some of these paths in here have changed, so we need to update where they are. Now the base itself is fine, because that's where the script is, but you need to pay attention to where we moved the other things within here. So the top, is no longer in the workspace. So what we need to do is come out of that, and we can say script. So keep in mind where your script is, .parent. Now that brings us up to base, just like up above here. We could have probably just put base here. And then we want to go to its parent, okay, which if we shrink this up, you'll notice is this roof model. So we'll go .parent at the end of this one. And now if we put this here and, oh, we didn't, we need to go up, into roof model, sorry. So we've jumped up, the base is up to the explode bricks, and then we're going down now into the roof model, and we need to get the top part there. So top. All right, a little bit of playing around, however, it's just adjustments because we've moved the model around. Now, all bricks, okay, we have now put this inside of our model, so we can get rid of this line here, and we'll need to do the same sort of thing here. So script .parent, and then .roof model, whoops, .parent again, then .roof model, and .all bricks model. So we've got all of in the model, and then we need to get children at the end to turn it into a table. And the explosion we can leave where it is. It's in the workspace, which is on the server, and when an explosion happens, that's okay. If everybody hears that, that's good. So the rest of this should now all just work as expected if you have managed to sort out your file paths here. And the best way to do that is click on File and Save, and let's give it a play. Right, I'm all loaded in. I didn't get any errors down the bottom here, but if you did, chances are your file path was not correct. And then we've got our new model, and if I run in here now, we've got all the bricks falling down from the roof, and it's working just the same, and you can put this inside a house, a tunnel, wherever you like. So look, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos. If you found this video useful, subscribe now. For more information about my online courses, go to mrbrendanross.com.